G'day, Alistair here, and this is why I purchased a Nissan Leaf. Now, I went through my bank statements and added up all the money I've spent on petrol for the last 12 months and come to $6,248. Now, this might include the occasional pie or fuel for a chainsaw or something like that, so maybe a little bit less than this in total, but I think this is a fair enough number. Now, this is between two cars. We've got two Mazda Demios, 2005 and 2006. They're kind of pretty much reaching the end of their life. One of them's got a bit of rust in the body, and the engine light is permanently on, but it drives fine, so that's okay. So, sort of rough calculations, we drive 26,000 kilometers per year, and you'll notice that this is in kilometers and liters, and also New Zealand dollars. So you'll have to work out appropriate numbers for your country, but things might work out pretty similar. So that's the money we spent on fuel, and petrol about $3 for unleaded 95 currently in New Zealand. I could use $2.77 potentially if I wanted to change the numbers just a little bit, but it works out pretty similar. So we use $3 because price of petrol is likely to continue to go up over time. I guess as is the price of electricity, but let's not concern ourselves too much with the ins and outs at this stage. So for the Mazda Demios, about 24 cents per kilometre. That's assuming they get about 500 kilometres per tank, 40-litre tank of gas. One of them gets about 500, the other gets about 550. We'll be selling the one that gets 500, most likely, which is strangely the newer Mazda Demio. But anyway, we've got 26,000 kilometres is our between the two cars. Most of the time, we are only using one car, but there are occasions where two cars are quite helpful. Anyway, so to the EV side. Now, the New Zealand government has just introduced road user charges. They take effect from the 1st of April, I believe. So in a couple of weeks' time, or even less than that. So I better sort that out. And they are $76 per 1,000 kilometres, or 7.6 cents per kilometre. And that would equate to about $2,000 a year of the cost of driving an EV for that range. Now, I'm using a range per kilowatt of 6.8. We're getting 14.7 kilowatts per 100 kilometers in the information in the dashboard. We've owned the car for less than a week, so we'll find out if that continues. But that's about 6.8 kilometers per kilowatt, and so we would use about 3.7 megawatts of power over the course of a year, so 3,700 kilowatts. Now, I'm using the cost of power at 22 cents. That is the off-peak power. It's the overnight rate between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So if we can charge the Leaf during that period, it'll only cost 22 cents. But even at the worst peak rate of 44 cents, it still works out to be a good deal. So that means we're spending $830 per year to charge the Leaf. That sounds... oh yeah, that's probably about right. So I think we use about 10 megawatts per year in total for our household, 2 of which is for heating water. Anyway, so the cost for driving an EV, 3 cents per kilometre, but we have to factor in the road user charges as well, so we're up to 11 cents, or 10.6 or something like that. So that means that our total cost of driving is about $2,800, or a savings of almost $3,500. And this is obviously, there's quite a bit of the error bars are quite large, but even if it's, I'd say probably less than 10%. Now, we paid $10,000 for our 2017 Leaf. It's a UK built one, which is a little bit annoying. It makes the indicator on the left hand side. Typically, New Zealand vehicles and Japanese vehicles, the indicator is on the right, and so when swapping between vehicles, it's a little bit confusing. But I'm sure I'll get my brain wired eventually. I'm taking a wild guess at selling the Demio at about $2,000. Could be less than that. Might be only $1,000. It depends on because the condition of the vehicle is not that great. But interestingly, a few weeks ago, someone rear-ended me and damaged the back bumper. No serious damage, but so when the insurance, when I get that properly quoted, the insurance company can pay out do a cash settlement, and we'll just sell the vehicle as is and pocket the cash, and that effectively goes towards the cost of the Leaf. So that might bring this difference down a little bit, or it might not affect it. It's still the effective cost of buying the Leaf might be $8,000, might be $8,500. I don't know, but if we probably bought this Leaf 6 months ago, we might have paid between $15,000 and $18,000 for it, because of two factors. The first is that there used to be a government subsidy on EVs. If you imported a used EV, and here in New Zealand, they typically come from Japan, and they're basically all Leafs. Here in New Zealand, if you want to buy a used vehicle, you can get any kind of vehicle you want, so long as it's a Leaf. Not entirely true. There is the occasional other used vehicle, other used EV, but so it's meant that because of the subsidies gone, and so everyone who wanted a Leaf bought one, or to take advantage of the subsidy. And now that the road user charges are coming in, that affects the economics quite a bit, and it means that the payback period is longer. But even so, based on the difference, $8,000 and our savings, it's going to take us 2.3 years before we have a free car, effectively. Now, I did another calculation, and that's driving 16,000 kilometers. This is our, fixed routes. One's to school and one's to the gym. So the school trip is 15 kilometers. It's, we do it twice a day. So that's four trips to the school and back, effectively. Do that 5 times a week for about 40 weeks out of the year, and then going to the gym. It's 14 kilometers 3 times a week, thereabouts 50 weeks of the year, roughly. So that's 16,000 kilometers. So that's kind of our fixed driving, and that equates to a savings of $2,000, $2,000, say. And the payback period on that is 3.7 years, so 4-ish years. So it probably means we'll probably get a free Leaf somewhere between 2.5 and 4 years. Worst case scenario, 2.5 to 3.5 years. So, say 3 years average. Of course, if we use the worst rate of power, throw that in, our savings change quite a bit, and looking more like 3 years at a minimum. We are also looking to get solar, and if I set this to 0, potentially 1.8 years. And basically, the road user charges are the biggest cost. So $830 to charge it, $2,000 to be able to drive it on the roads. So, if we could drive off-road, we could save a bit of money on that, although it might take us a lot longer to get anyway. So that's kind of the economics here in New Zealand of buying a used Leaf. As I might have said, if we'd bought it 6 months ago, the cost could have been as much as 18,000. That makes the payback period obviously a lot longer. Here, a brand new Leaf is about 60,000. I think that would be the 60 kilowatt version, though, so not comparing apples with apples, so to speak. But I think you get a Tesla for not too much more than that, which would probably be my preference. And basically, anything over 14 years, you're just paying interest. We have a mortgage, and interest rates are about 7% currently. So that means sort of if you're taking longer than 14 years to pay it back, you are just paying the interest. You're not touching the principal. The numbers work quite nicely on a used Leaf. They don't work at all. The economics doesn't work at all on a brand new Leaf. So that's why I've got a used one rather than a new one. We could have got a 2015 Leaf, which would have had not as much range, sort of 100 kilometers rather than 135 kilometers. Although the dash says 155 kilometers when you first start up. If you start driving, it goes down to 135. I'm not sure how that works yet. And we can do that for 6,500, which, you know, would probably, the economics of that would mean would get our money back in less than 2 years probably. And if we went and bought a, I don't know, 2012 Leaf or something like that for 4,000, we could have our money back in worst case a year. Assuming we didn't total it in the meantime. But there's insurance for that anyway. So now I haven't factored in any mechanical stuff. So electric vehicles don't have much that go wrong with them. They still need new tires and wiper blades and brake pads and things like that. But the servicing of them is much cheaper than a mechanical motor or engine. So there might be some savings there. We are paying a bit more in insurance because the car is worth probably 4 times as much as our existing vehicles. So I hope you've found this interesting. Definitely with the current price of EVs, used EV, it makes very compelling economic sense if you're doing quite a bit of driving, doing a lot of short trips. Say if you're driving more than 100 kilometers at a time, you're going to have to charge it, get to your destination and charge, and then drive back, which probably means using a fast charging thing, which you're going to pay more for power, say 50 cents a kilowatt hour or something like that, or more. I don't know. I haven't looked at the cost of fast chargers here in New Zealand. So I've rambled on long enough. Basically, buying a Leaf is a good idea, or at least for us. So it might not work that way for you. We're doing a lot of times. We live in the country, so it's a bit of a drive to get to school, preschool in this case. So our daily driving is quite a lot. So I hope you found this useful. I'm Alistair, and yeah, leave a comment below if you think any of my numbers are not up to scratch. I might see if I can share this spreadsheet as well with just these sort of current figures. I could probably delete all my amount that I've filled up, and maybe this number is, maybe it's 5,800 or something like that. Filling up a chainsaw is not, sort of buy that fuel at sort of 5 liters at a time, and I might do that a few times a year. So it's not going to have a big impact. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.